strength training is really important for bones, joints and muscles. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But obviously not these advanced pull-ups like I'm doing, because these are really hard. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I've ruined it now. Hello healthy people, I'm Richard and welcome back to Exercise for Health. Today I'm going to take you through some of the basics of calisthenics, which is using your body weight and the force of gravity to perform different exercises for maintaining strength and improving muscle tone. If this interests you or you're new to this channel, we offer tips, advice and exercises each week to help you manage your health condition and fitness levels. So go ahead and tap the subscribe button below and the bell icon so you're notified of when we upload a new video. So there are many different forms of exercises that come under the term calisthenics, but generally think of it as a movement where you're lifting your body weight against gravity and then slowly lowering it back down to the start position. I'm going to focus on 3 fundamental exercises that will work many of the major muscle groups in the body without the need for any specialist gym equipment like resistance machines or free weights. However, the only item you will need, other than what's probably around you, is a bed sheet or quilt cover for when we do the pull-up. The benefit of calisthenics is that it can be very functional because it's working with your body weight to improve strength and will help you with day-to-day activities like standing up or pushing open a car door or pulling the vacuum cleaner towards you. The 3 I've picked though are the squat, the push-up and the pull-up, and I will show you 3 variations for each one, basic, intermediate and hard, so you can adopt the position that challenges you enough to stimulate the muscles. The most important tip I can give you though is to ensure that you use the correct technique for every exercise. Think technique first and master this before making the exercise more challenging by moving up to a level to increase the intensity. As we go through each one, I'll explain how to do the exercise first before showing you the 3 variations or levels of intensity. Also, make sure you're breathing with the movement. This should be exhaling as you lift your body up and inhaling as your body lowers down on every repetition. In addition, each repetition of the exercise should take you between 3 and 5 seconds, with more time of the repetition spent on the lowering or eccentric phase of the contraction. Think lower is slower, up is controlled. You should be aiming to complete between 8 and 12 repetitions within one set of the exercise, and if you can easily do this with good form, then it's probably worth trying a harder variation. Finally, while performing the set, try to keep the movement going so your body moves up and down as though you're a yo-yo slowly going up and down without any stopping at any point. As a bonus, if you watch till the end of the video, I'm going to provide a home-based strength program that you can follow using these exercises and offer advice on how you would progress it over a 12-week period. So with that, let's get started. Right, first exercise we're going to do is a push-up or press-up. This exercise works the muscles in the chest, the front of the shoulders and the back of the arms. And it's most important when you're doing this one that you maintain really good posture. So if I show you, start off with the basic exercise, I'm going to have my hands a bit wider and a bit lower than my shoulder height, and I'm going to place them flat on the wall. And my feet are going to be about a shoulder width wide and a short distance away from the wall. So this then gives me that sort of slight upright position as I do the press up. Now while you're doing the press up, the most important thing is that if you were to draw a line from ankle, knee, hip to shoulder, which is pretty much in a straight line, that's going to stay straight as you go in and out. So a common mistake I see with people doing press-ups is they either leave their hips behind them as they go in and out, or they let their hips drop in as they go in and out. So it's important that you keep the body straight as you go in and out. So that's working a little bit into your core muscles as well to make sure that you stabilize your hips. So that's the first tip. The second thing is to make sure that your elbows are not coming out too high, too wide. So I've got my hands a bit wider than the shoulder's width on the door here. So it's important that I keep my elbows tucked in, so they're always directly behind where my hands are and they're not being splayed out to the side as I'm going in and out, because if you've got your elbows coming out high, that's going to put more stress on the actual shoulder joint itself. So once you've fixed your position, then there's the movement as you go in and out. Keep the shoulders down and back, so I'm not letting my shoulders come up as I go in and out, so keep the shoulders down away from the ears. And again, allow the shoulder blades can go back slightly as you go in and out. So you're just maintaining, think about your posture as you're going forwards and back. So if you can manage 8 to 12 of those comfortably and you don't find that challenging in those muscles, then you really want to be thinking about moving on to the next level, which is the intermediate variation. So in this case, I'm going to use the side of my armchair for this one, but you could do it on stairs, you could do it on a kitchen worktop, something that's a little bit lower, maybe somewhere between sort of knee and sort of rib height, somewhere between there to put your hands on, something that's sturdy. And that's going to make it a little bit more of a challenge, because now we're going from an upright position to an inverted position. So I'm going to place the hands on the side of my armchair like so, feet a little bit further back this time than what they were before, obviously. And they're still a shoulder width wide, and then the movement's the same as what we did in the upright position. So I'm keeping my shoulders down and back. My body's going to try and stay in that straight line as I go in and out, as I push myself back up again. So I'm not letting the hips drop and not leaving them behind. They're coming down with me at the same pace as you go in and out. So that's making it that little bit harder being on an inverted position. So the last variation, the hard one, is to now go from an inverted to a flat, so basically a normal floor press up. So for this one, I'm going to go down to the floor, hands in the same position as I've done on the previous two, so they're a bit wider than shoulders width. And then from there, again, you can have your feet shoulder width wide, you can bring your feet together for this one if you want to. So the movement, again, keeping the body in a straight line, shoulders down and back. I'm going to bend at the elbows, keeping them in towards the body before I push myself back up to arm's length, like so. So make sure as you're doing your press ups, it should be your chest coming down to the level of your hands. If you find that your head's going down towards your hands, again, that's another reason that you're going to put a lot of stress on the shoulder joint. So do make sure, whatever position that you're in, whether it's basic, upright, intermediate, inverted, or the hard one on the floor, just make sure that it's your chest going towards your hands. So that's the first one. Let's go on to the next one. Right, the second exercise we're going to do is a squat. And this particular exercise works most of the muscles from the hips down, so most of the muscles in the legs and also the bottom. So what we're going to do is start off with a basic level. We need something that's slightly higher than knee height, so I'm going to use the side of my armchair here, so that when I'm actually sat down onto it, my hips are actually still higher than my knees, so it creates more of a half squat position, so I'm not going too low. So I want my feet to be a shoulder width wide. Again, good posture with the upper body. Hands you can put wherever you want for this. It won't really make that much difference for the purpose of the movement. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to stick my bottom backwards as I begin to bend at the knees and the hips until I can feel my bottom just tap the side of the armchair. No, that's as far as I need to go. And then I'll come back up to a standing position. So basically that's your basic squat, because I'm not actually going down too low. Okay, so that'll be the first level. If you find that's really easy, then to progress it, to go on to an intermediate level, you need to have something that's a little bit lower. So I'm still going to use a sit to stand type scenario as the squat, but this time I'm actually going to use the chair itself, which is where now my hips are actually slightly lower than my knee height when I'm in a seated position. So same sort of setup, feet back shoulder width wide, hand position wherever you prefer, and then from there as I squat down, sticking the bottom backwards, as soon as the bottom touches the chair, I'm going to come straight back to a standing position. You can actually go all the way down, but if you rest at that point, you're taking some of the pressure away from the muscles. So the idea is you want to try and keep the movement going and keep the resistance and the tension on the muscles for the whole duration of your 8 to 12 reps. So as I'm going down, I'm using the chair as a guide. As soon as I feel it touch, I'm going to try and come straight back up again. Okay, so that's the second variation. Now the hard version is where we actually change the position of the feet. So I'm still going to use the chair as a guide, but this time I'm going to put one foot slightly forwards in front of the other one. What that'll do is that will just put a little bit more emphasis on the back leg, so more weight will end up being on the foot that's further back than it will on the foot that's at the front. I'm going to keep the hips pretty much facing forward still, and then try and do the squat down. Now that will make it a lot harder, because depending on your mobility in your hip and your ankle joint will depend on how low down you go. But I can now feel more pressure going through this right leg, because that's the one that's further set back. Obviously with this version, you will need to do it on one way and then change your stance and do another set on the other side. So if you're just doing one set, you might want to do say 4 to 6 reps one way, 4 to 6 reps the other way. If you're doing multiple sets, then that's where you can do one set one way, switch your feet and do one set the other way. Okay, so that's the hard variation for the squat. Right, the third exercise then is going to be the pull-up, and this is the one that's going to be using the muscles this time on the top of the arms and across the top and also the sides of the back, so it's pulling your body weight up. So for this one, this is where you will need something. So in this case, you're going to need to use a bed sheet. So all I've done is I've just folded the bed sheet up a couple of times. This is a double-sized quilt sheet. And then I've just tied a knot in one end. Then what you need is you need a door that you can put the knot over the top. Just make sure that you pull it out as flat as you can to allow the door to close, and make sure that you're on the side of the door where you actually then pull the door closed towards you so that it's not going to go open. Obviously if I was on the other side and I was pulling against it, there is a risk that the door will open, but this way I'm actually pulling it closed. Once you've actually closed the door, just pull it down a little bit in case there's any slack on the other end, so it just allows the knot to then come up tight to the top of the door. And then that's going to be your start position. So from here, I'm going to stay quite close to the door for this one, and I'm going to take hold of the sheet and get a good grip of it either side so that my hands are level with my eyes. So this is the basic version. Once I've got hold of either side of the sheet, and my feet are shoulder width wide, I'm now going, this takes a little bit of confidence, but I'm now just going to let my body drop back, keeping hold of the sheet until my arms go out straight. And then at that point, I'm going to pull my shoulder blades back together, bend my elbows, and see if I can get back to an upright position. So think of the press up that we did earlier when we did the press up against the door or against the wall. It's basically the opposite version of that. So you're pulling yourself up rather than you're pushing yourself up. So that's the first variation. Okay, again, same as with the press up, just make sure ankle, knee, hip, shoulder stays in a straight line as you go back, and then pull yourself back up to an upright position. So to make this one harder, the intermediate level is just a case of sliding your hands down. So from my eye level, I'm going to bring them down to about my shoulder height. So again, still got a good grip, feet position still relatively close to the floor, same as before. And then from there, now my hands are a little bit lower, I'm going to find that I'm actually moving myself further away from the door, which means more of my weight now is acting on the sheet, which then makes the exercise a lot harder. So same principle, draw the shoulder blades down and back, and then see if you can get your chest to come up towards your hands. So that's the intermediate level. And then the hard level, which you've probably guessed, is I'm going to take my hands even lower. So I'm going to take them down to their sort of belly button height really, so quite low down in this case. Again, make sure you've got a really good grip on this sheet. Can be quite hard on your hands, this one. So get a really good grip on the sheet. Feet same as position as before. So now, again, takes a little bit more confidence as I go back. I'm going even lower, so I'm almost going into a horizontal position almost. And then when I pull up to my finished position, I'm not actually pulling myself upright at all. So I've still got a lot of tension on the muscles there on the top of the arms and on the top of the back before I go back down. Like so. So that's your hard version. Obviously there's lots of different variations within that, because basically the lower your hands are down, the more you're going to then go down closer to the floor, the more of your body weight then goes through your arms, so the harder the exercise is going to be. So that's your pull-up that you can do with your bed sheet. Right, now you know how to perform the 3 exercises, let's look at how you can adopt this into an effective home-based program. The current guidelines in the UK for adults and older adults are to perform some type of strength training on 2 days a week, but not 2 consecutive days, so maybe a Monday and a Thursday or a Tuesday and a Friday as an example would be ideal. As with any exercise program, make sure you warm up before you start for a few minutes, so this could include marching on the spot, using an exercise bike if you've got one, or doing some cardio based movements to get the heart rate up and the blood pumping around to the muscles so they can work more effectively. You could also do some mobility exercises like those I've done in a previous video. And if you want to watch these, then click on the pop-out banner above for some ideas. Once you've done the warm-up though, you can then go through the 3 exercises. If you're just starting out or getting back to exercising again, then once you've chosen your variation for each of the exercises that you find challenging enough for you, doing 1 set for each one will be sufficient. But after 4 weeks, you should be able to move up to 2 sets of the exercise with 30 to 60 seconds rest between each set. And then after another 4 weeks, try and move up to 3 sets of the exercise. Note that if you're doing multiple sets of one exercise with the rest between each one, don't expect to hit the same number of reps on every set. If you do, then the exercise will probably need to be made harder. This is because your muscles begin to fatigue towards the end of the set, so it will make it more difficult to manage the same number of reps again a minute later on the next set. So if you're doing 3 sets, you may end up doing 11 reps on the first set, then 9 reps on the second set, and then 8 reps on the third, as an example. It's important that you are challenged though to complete 8 to 12 reps in the set to ensure that you gain the effect that you want. So if it's not hard, it's not working. Once you've done the desired number of sets on the push-up, do the same then for the squat and then also the pull-up. And then to finish, do a short cool down, which can be keeping the body moving and certainly ending up with some gentle stretches. If you need some inspiration for this, then click on the pop-up banner for the video I've done on basic stretching. And that's it. By the time you've done the 12 weeks progressing your exercises, you should feel that you can move up to the next variation or intensity level for that particular exercise, and that should be your aim. If you're in a gym, you would hope to get stronger and start lifting more weight. So at home, we need to have a goal to work towards in the same way to make sure you keep your motivation up. So good luck with your strength training, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video today, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click here to subscribe to this channel or click here to watch a recent video. See you soon.